So calling to order closed session at 5:40. We'll be back. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling calling to order our open session for today, Tuesday, July 30th at 6:06. We have Shelley that's going to lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance today. Shelley.
Good evening. Please join me, stand, and put your right hand over your heart. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. We do have one report from closed session. The board took action on a 5-0 vote to approve a settlement agreement with student case number 2024040300 in the amount not to exceed $10,500 during closed session today. All right, awesome. Superintendent report.
Just a couple shout outs. So first of all, I want to thank Ed Services for all the work that they did, and our teachers and principals that did help out with summer school and all of the work around that. Big shout out to Jason and his crew for all the good work that they've been doing. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention our classified staff, getting our schools ready. Rob and I and Scott and Eddie and Albert, we visited 7 schools. We tried to get to all the schools before the start, and drinking fountains were clean, bathrooms were clean, the rooms were vacuumed. Things are ready to go. They've started to power wash, and that whole crew's worked really hard. So I want to thank Scott and his team for all the good work to get our schools ready. And so just lots of good things going on, and looking forward to the start of the year.
Awesome. We also have Chad, right, on the Sandy Hook Promise.
Yes, we're very excited this evening to bring forth to the board an agreement with the Sandy Hook Promise organization. Sandy Hook Promise came out of the Sandy Hook shooting, and as a result, a foundation was formed called Sandy Hook Promise. Sandy Hook Promise provides a dedicated 24/7, 365-day-a-year crisis call-in line that allows students, staff members, parents to anonymously report anything that may be going on the campus that's causing concerns at school that we can respond to as a school and as a school community. They have the hotline that they have is manned, and it doesn't have to just be a phone call. It can be a text, it can be an email, it can be a message, it can be sent a variety of ways, and as a result, they immediately receive and respond to the calls that they receive, and then categorize what sort of response needs to be sent in. Whether that response is immediately contacting the police or a crisis intervention, contacting the school principal, or providing us with an FYI that we need to do some follow-up. And they not only provide this ability to respond to and react to different calls that are received from members of our school community, but additionally they provide training, they provide support, they have a very robust website which provides a lot of good resources to our staff, students, and parents. And additionally, our students will be able to have immediate access through their devices to be able to reach out and make those contacts anytime they feel that it's necessary. So we're very excited to team with Sandy Hook Promise. The great part is, as well, it's no cost to us as a district. It's funded completely through the Sandy Hook Promise Foundation, and it provides a great way and a new resource to allow reporting by our students, our staff, and our community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Chad.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes.
Thank you for that. We appreciate that. I think they've been sending out information on that for a very long time, so I'm
Yes.
glad that we did that. Can you tell me just a little bit more about, I know the service with the phones and people dialing in and reporting, but then we talked about training and support of our staff, and then students reaching out. So can you tell me a little bit about are they going to come and train all of our staff, portions of our staff? How does that work?
No, they will actually be coming out and training all of our staff, and they'll be training all of our staff in layers. We really want to start with our staff that has direct contact with students first. So they'll start with our administrators and our teachers, our instructional assistants, office staff, but they'll be training all of our staff on how does it work, how do students access it, and what resources are available on both sides, on the reporting side, but then also on the support side to identify risks and concerns that may be brought forth as far as predatory behavior. They have a series of resources on their website as well, but everyone in our schools will be trained.
So trained on how to use the system.
How to use the system and what resources they also have available to support our students and their families.
So more mental health services.
Mental health, right, and then what resources they have available, how do you access their website, what does it provide for you, those sort of things, yes.
What kind of information is provided to our students, as they're obviously the ones that we also want to have reporting? Is there training for our kids? What does it look like from their end?
Absolutely. That's the other important piece. There's training for our students as well. So the model that tends to work best with our training is to actually have the teacher train the students, or the homeroom teacher at the junior high school provide that training for students. So we'll be having our teachers then train our students during the block of time that we normally use for SEL and other such types of curriculum to train students how to access and how to be able to report if they need to report, or what sort of resources are available through Sandy Hook Promise that they can also look into.
Will it be integrated or mainstreamed with our bullying and report a concern kind of systems that we already have available to our kids?
It actually will be, and actually our hope is to see, as we pilot this and see how it works, to see if that's something that just can't be fully integrated so that we have one reporting system as opposed to multiple.
Because for a while, are we going to have two?
For a while, we'll have two because we want to make sure we don't miss anything.
Sure.
But really our goal is, once we get Sandy Hook Promise fully up and fully operational, that perhaps that could be our singular reporting system, as they will, every single report that they receive, they will send back to us.
Okay, so any concern about a child's well-being or a threat to our community could be reported through that
Anything
system.
at all, and
Okay.
it's all logged, it's kept, and they follow up as well to make sure that we have followed up.
Great. What should parents or caregivers expect to see with the new school year as information is shared?
So they should see that we will be rolling information out to our parents and to our community regarding the new system. They'll be seeing things set through Blackboard to access. They'll also see things being put out to them through the email on how they can access and know what's happening and understand this new system. Sandy Hook Promise has done this in many other districts, so we're not their initial district, so they have a very good rollout system and some good PR pieces and really parent-friendly materials to help our parents be able to get access.
That's great, and I'm sure this is a conversation a lot of parents will be interested in learning. I mean, I could see it as a PTA topic at meetings in the beginning of the school year, like how to identify and respond if your kids are, you have concerns or need support for our children.
Yes, absolutely.
Great, thanks.
Anyone else? Awesome. Yeah. Reports from our fellow trustees. I'll start from my right, from right to left.
I get to start?
Yeah, you get to start.
Okay. Well, happy World Day Against Human Trafficking, everybody. Today is the day. But I wanted to share, I did have a great time. I got to be a part of the FSD management retreat that we had for 2 days. Many of you were there, and it's always fun. It's always great to be back with everyone and welcome our new principals, some new staff. We laugh a lot, and I think it's very much inspiring, and I'm just grateful to be with this amazing group of people. I, over the last month, got to attend 2 of our different summer school programs. I wanted to share that I got to go to our EL Jumpstart, where we are supporting our multilingual learners. It was really fun to see, especially the little ones singing and doing wordplay and really growing in their language use and flexibility with that. And then I got to visit Soulful, which was led by OC United at Valencia Park as well. And I loved seeing how our partners are really engaging young people as advocates in making a difference in their community. I got to watch a summer stage performance of Once Upon a Mattress at Golden Hill. I also got to attend a Safe Schools conference that was hosted by Orange County Department of Education. There was a workshop that I was particularly interested in because it was put on by the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force, and they shared about the Know More, Do Better event, which our junior high students attended this past January. And it was a national conference, and it was really encouraging and exciting to see how Orange County is really leading the way in creating especially prevention of human trafficking for junior hires, which is still pretty unique. And so it was great to see people excited about the possibilities of what we've been doing here. And I wanted to just share broadly with the community that our Fullerton City is doing a lot of work right now to create a youth council, an advisory council. I'm sure Bev might share on that too, but I want to just encourage any of our students that are interested in this, anyone 13 and over can be a part and can represent their schools as well as their neighborhoods. So if we have kids that are interested in being a part of that advisory council, they are still accepting applications, and you can go to the Fullerton City Council website to learn more about that commission. And then finally, I wanted to recommend in the Fullerton Observer today is when I got my newspaper. There's an article that was published by one of our own FSD students, a friend of mine, Marcella Guppy. Many of us know her. She wrote about the need for students and parents especially to work together to fight, or to work to end fights at junior high schools. She points out especially that cell phones make the problem worse, and students like her, quote, need to stop encouraging the fights by cheering, running to see, recording, and asking for the videos. She concludes in her article by saying, the staff at junior high schools are trying to prevent these fights, but they can't stop them all if no one helps them. So I am excited tonight that our board, I hope, is going to be taking some action to develop a policy on cell phones so that we can help them. And I am encouraged to see our own junior high students speaking out on this issue.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Trustee DeCour?
Sure, that was great. I second all of that, and I'm excited as well. Optimism is definitely what I've been feeling a lot lately, and of course, summer is coming to an end. Maybe our students don't feel that way. Sometimes I reference growing up here in Fullerton, born in the 70s, raised in the 80s and 90s, and then now a parent. And just very briefly, it is such a delightful surprise watching the Olympics and seeing people like Flavor Flav and Snoop Dogg being like goodwill ambassadors of the United States almost. When, my first exposure to some of these folks, the group was called Public Enemy, right? And Snoop, of course, had his gangster days or whatever. But maybe everybody deserves second chances or third chances, and I think maybe that's what we need to be more about in the Fullerton School District as well. Talking about these fights, talking about student discipline. But, everybody, I think, when presented with an opportunity to be about goodness and helping people, I think they want to change and they want to try that. And so I know that as a district, as a parent, as a trustee, I know that we believe in the goodness of people. And so just reminded of that recently, and I'm very proud to be here, and I'm looking forward to tonight's meeting.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Trustee Sugarman?
Where to start? I too want to thank our entire staff. So many people, oh my God, worked on that management retreat, and I don't know. I enjoy it. I don't know if the staff loves it as much as I do. And not just do I enjoy the speakers. Darren Jones I thought was outstanding, but I also appreciate seeing everybody after a few months or weeks, whatever, in some cases minutes. It's always nice to see everybody and welcome everybody back. I'm super excited that our tiny house is now all set up, linked up, watered up, electric up, and has people living it. And that's one family at a time. So this year we will try a second tiny house. And I bet it's even going to go better, and that more people are going to volunteer to give us things, because now that they've seen how good this is and how wonderful it is for committee and people and a school, that we'll go forward with helping another family and another group of children to have experience in trade, to learn how to do wood and floors and everything else and the complications of building a home. I got something today too that I want to share. Congratulations. We're honored to recognize the Fullerton Education Foundation as one of Representative Steele's 2024 nonprofits of distinction. And they will be giving an award out on August 7th. And, you know, it's taken a long time, but my goodness, how nice to get recognized by somebody, a congressional representative. So I think that's super nice, and I want to thank everybody who works not only on the foundation, but who donates and helps and gives time, and thank everybody. People are taking note, and they realize you're doing wonderful things. Speaking of amazing, did you hear that word? Amazing, wonderful things. On October 5th, our own Dr. Pletka is volunteering his professional skills to Pathways of Hope. Look who's dancing, season 9. Stand up for a minute, let us look at you before the dancing. We can hardly wait. And so if you want to take out your phones, your calendars of paper, any way you do it, put it on your wall, not our bathrooms. And Dr. Pletka will be dancing October 5th at Muckenthal Culture Center, $50 tickets, and I know you want to be there.
Proceeds do go to Pathways to Hope to help case manage the family who's living in the tiny home that started actually this week on Monday.
What you do for us, Dr.
What you do for us. I can hardly wait to see.
Are you going to K-pop?
No, that's why he took everyone to K-pop a month ago, to get in shape. K-pop was at Laguna Road. People came from Korea. It was a fabulous, fabulous event. And for those who worked on that, thank you. I think that the people from Korea were not only proud to show off their skills and their students and their talents, but also very appreciative of the warm reception Fullerton School District gave them. And then I know 2nd to October 5th, getting prepared for October 5th mentally, and Dr. Pletka physically, you all want to mark down September 28th, because that is the night of the Fullerton Education Foundation Gala, and there will be dancing there too. And he can practice his skills, warm up, take notes from the Ladera Vista dancing and singing, because maybe he'll even sing during his dancing on October 5th. I can line you up with lots of things.
That's the 28th, you said?
September 28th at the Charleston. We're really excited. The theme this year is disco. So think John Travolta. Whoa, that will be fun. So you are the first to know, of course, always. And last but not least, well, two things. People who, just can't help but stopping you at the market and giving you information. Loved summer everything. Thank you, Jason. Your programs were super successful. I'm on speed dial, somebody has a complaint, but I'm at the market walking around when somebody loves something. I got stopped a lot of times about your various programs, the plays, everything. So thank you. And speaking of being told information, I'm the person who always says, I like school to start later. And you've probably heard that once or twice from me, right, Bev? Once or twice. So recently I was told it is very difficult for maintenance to have a very short window of time to fix up our schools the way they'd like to fix them up. When we hold school to like 6 minutes before, hold summer schools to like 6 minutes before we start our regular sessions. And so as our leadership thinks about when we should start school and sets calendars, I think this is something that we have to consider,
because we care about all of our employees and that they have the time to do the job that they really want to do. So that was it. But I know that they got stuff done and it's going to look beautiful, but they'd like a little bit more time. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, thank you. Trustee Berryman?
I think everybody has kind of said a lot already, so I think I will just echo on a few things. The tiny house project, to have a family actually be able to move in there with children is just, to me, remarkable that our students can make such a difference in somebody else's life. And that a project that people would have never thought a school district can incorporate and actually succeed at, we've been able to do. So kudos to you guys again. I think it's been just a remarkable way for our children to learn empathy and to have a family actually benefit from that. I can't wait for the next ones. And I think other districts can watch what we do. And now it will be seen that you can do it, right? I mean, someone has to start it, and thank you for starting it. Jason, yes, the summer programs were very, very busy for everyone. And echo what Hilda was saying, because I think people tell us when, people do complain when there's something not going well, but also people do acknowledge when things are going well. And how much our parents and our students appreciate having the ability to continue on during summer, giving our parents that opportunity to send their child somewhere where they can trust the people that they leave their children with, and that their children are going to be safe. Many other school districts around don't do this, and for us to be able to spend the time and effort, and it's hard work. I think all of us up here understand how hard it is for you guys to do that, for you to manage that, for everyone to pull together to make that happen. So I truly, truly appreciate it, and I speak on behalf, I'm sure, of many of our parents and our students in our district for taking that on and making sure that is offered to our children, right? It's that safe place to be in the summertime when a lot of our kids don't have family at home and they need somewhere to go. You hear some parents talk about, well, I don't want to send them to summer camp because I see what they're doing in the movie theaters. They don't watch the kids, they don't do this. And so being able to offer something where our families feel very, very safe, I think makes a huge difference. So thank you. Well, good news, right? Goodness, all about goodness. Just welcome to the new year. I think the new school year is starting. I'm sure you guys are already exhausted. For those of you that have been taking maybe just a week off or what have you, appreciate all that you've done. I appreciate this new year starting, and I'm looking forward to all the great things that we're doing. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you to my fellow trustees. Again, echoing the summer programs are nothing but amazing things. So again, Jason, kudos to you and your team for making that happen. It is an extension of the school year that we want to keep the momentum going for a lot of our kids moving into the next school year. So again, kudos to you on that. Again, amazing theme for me at the management retreat. Trustee Thakur talking about second chance, third chances. I think one of the things that I took away from the management retreat was, don't be afraid to fail, and then be creative and innovative at the same time, because you're going to learn a lot from those failures and getting back up and things like that. So Darren Jones did an amazing job of kind of relating that to what we do here at FSD. So super amazing. Yeah, let's get this meeting going. Enough of the updates from here. Do we have informations from our associations? DLAC?
We do not have a report from DLAC tonight.
PTA?
No report from PTA tonight.
CSEA?
We do have a report from CSEA, and I'll be reading. Good evening, Dr. Pleka, President Talavera, members of the board, and cabinet. This is Vicky Vasquez speaking on behalf of CSEA. We are excited to start the 2024-25 school year and are looking forward to working with the district and all our members. Tatiana Ortega and Sherry Williamson will attend CSEA's 98th annual conference in San Jose from July 28th to August 1st. The theme this year is Together We Thrive. They will learn additional skills to lead as CSEA delegates from Fullerton School District. Chapter 130 was approved to attend CEA's MUP training in Ontario, where delegates were learning training and motivation as chapter activists. We want to thank classified staff for working extra hours in our Encore Summer Program, ESY, M&O, and IIS departments to ensure our students and our community get the support they needed. In the fall, a new site coordinator will be elected to fill the vacant position on the chapter executive board. Lastly, T-shirts have been ordered for all our members and will be available in late August for those that filled out the Google form. We will send out information on delivery, dates, and availability for anybody that did not fill out the form. Thank you and have a great evening.
Awesome, thank you so much. FETA.
I'll be reading on behalf of FETA tonight. Okay.
Putting you to work.
Good evening, President Talavera, board members, Dr. Pleka, cabinet, and guests. I apologize for not being able to physically attend this board meeting due to other responsibilities. Okay, I didn't write this. However, I am extremely grateful for the wonderful Anna M. who is reading this report tonight. Okay. I promise to watch the live stream version. We are 9 days away from the start of the 24-25 school year. I know for a fact that many teachers are already at work setting up their classrooms, attending district PDs, and working on plans for the upcoming year. I want to take this opportunity to thank them for their dedication for our students and families. I would also like to welcome our new teachers, classified, and administrative staff. I look forward to meeting you soon. FETA appreciates the board, Dr. Pleka, cabinet, and especially Jeremy Davis for your listening ears, discussions, research, and time in updating our cell phone policy, mobile communication devices. This new policy reflects that you heard and valued the input from our teachers, especially those in the junior high and K-8 schools. Thank you, Darlene Naslund, FETA president.
Awesome, thank you so much. FESMA.
No report from FESMA tonight. Vacation.
We're good, we're good. All right, awesome. Public comment time. So Fullerton School District Board meeting adheres to the decorum of rules outlined by Board Bylaw 9323 by submitting a public request slip, which you will be find to the back left corner of the room. Individuals are given 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. Public input on each of these items is capped to 20 minutes. A total public comment time is limited to 30 minutes. Comments on agenda items will be heard at the time the item is being discussed, while comments on non-agenda items will be heard during public comment section of the agenda. No action or discussion is allowed on non-agenda items unless permitted by law, which will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Awesome. Do we have any public comments?
We do not have any
We do
public
not have
comments
any
tonight.
public comments. Awesome. All right. Moving on to section approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve minutes from the June 18th meeting?
I read the minutes and I will motion to approve them.
Awesome. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. We have a second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Awesome.
I will move to approve the agenda as it stands.
As it stands, I believe there's an amendment to a consent item B. Is that correct, Anna?
We don't have one here.
Correct. There was an amendment.
It's on my notes, so I just wanted to,
Yes.
there's a personnel update. I think Chad might be handing it to us
Oh,
as well. too.
here it comes.
Here it comes. Should have handed those out earlier. No worries. So I just want to make sure before we approve that we take a look at that as well too.
Thank you. I move that we accept the consent calendar with an adjustment. I just have to find the adjustment.
So we have a, yeah.
Oh, that's a good change.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, nice.
We have a lot of teachers hired.
Do I need I'll second that.
You want to second that? Yeah. Everybody in favor? Approving the agenda
Aye.
with the amendment? Aye. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. There we go.
Wow, isn't that nice? Thank you, Chad.
For those that don't know, we're rehiring people. So it's a good thing.
4
Bringing them
pages.
back. Yeah.
A lot of, yeah, yellow in there.
It's too bad you have to go through that whole process. It's
6
It is what it
pages,
is.
excuse me.
Perfect. All right, now moving on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion, or do any of the fellow trustees want to pull or discuss any of the items on the consent?
I had some comments, but you want to go ahead first?
Okay,
Hold on.
I'll start off.
Yeah.
If you look at our wonderful donors, I think that you'll be happy to see that even during summertime, people think about us and donate to us. I do want to point out the $13,500 donation from the Education Foundation, because it makes up most of the donation for this month. But we're happy with everyone's donations, and we thank them, and we thank you for your donations to that foundation. I'd also like to comment that I really appreciate our district for taking action to support board feelings, I guess you'd say, board priorities. On this particular consent calendar, we have so many items related to safety and health. We have item P, which is training for intruder and defiance. We have UU dental services from Big Smiles, TT, CHOIC healthcare for our students, SS, Fullerton Express Pharmacy, so our students can have what they need. We have yoga class approval. We have LL, safety and supervision in service through Playworks Education. And I'm sure that our supervisors are thrilled to see that. J, our Red Cross trainings. H, telehealth and Hazel Health has been, again, contracted with us. VV, Vista Community Clinic for mobile vaccine services to meet the needs of students who have to get vaccinated to meet state requirements to go to public school, and the mobile units will be brought to the schools. So a really special thank you that our district, and you under your leadership, Dr. Pletka, spent the time to listen to us, to provide the services we're looking for our students and our staff, and we're proud. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Trustee Hatchett?
Yeah, there are so many great things. You know, the beginning of the school year, there's so many new contracts to sign, but it is amazing just all the support and resources for our kids, that especially through the community schools grant that we are able to provide for our families and children. One that I was particularly excited about, it's like you said, Hilda, something that's a personal passion, is I love seeing that there's a new program with the Eat Real program with the school, looking at school menus that are delicious, nutritious, and planet sustaining, especially around minimal processing of foods, fresh produce, low sugar, sustainable proteins, food waste reduction, and education for our kids. I love that we are moving forward with providing more healthy, real choices for our children at school, as well as teaching them how to be more sustainable in the foods that we choose. So that's awesome. I had one question I do want to ask about. It's just digging into item HH. It says that we're contracting with West Ed for help with data analysis, specifically around evaluation of educational programs and their effectiveness on student achievement. And I remember about a year ago asking questions about, especially with special education, and how we're closing achievement gaps and goals for our children who are in special education programs, and monitoring the effectiveness of our programs. So when I read this, I thought, oh, I wonder if this is an opportunity for us to dig into that data more. Remember the conversation was, that's very expensive and it takes a lot of effort, and I don't know if we have the capacity, but in these kind of programs, is there an opportunity for us to learn more about how we're working towards effectiveness in those programmings as well?
So we have used West Ed in the past, and one of the things that we've done is try to look specifically at achievement data.
Mm-hmm.
We do look at our different groups, Hispanics, special education, English learners, and so those are some areas that we will drill down to. And on a positive note, in the past we've seen when they've done statewide comparisons that we are in the top 20% of districts in the state, and when you compare with similar demographics, we're in the top 10%. And so those are kind of the high-level findings, but in that report, we'll be able to drill down. You'll be able to drill down and see some of those, some of that data. So I think it's a good piece, and you can geek out if you want. You know, they'll produce reports for everybody.
Okay, I'll look forward to reading more about that.
That it? Perfect. Yep, awesome. So everybody in favor of the,
Well,
do you have something?
I was just gonna add a
Yes,
couple of things.
please.
I brought up I was thinking the West Ed as well, just making sure that we get to see some of that information and going hand in hand with that KK when we're looking at our DLA program and how we're expanding it and really looking at what we're doing, how we're doing it, what do we need to be tweaking. And I look forward to seeing that information as well, and I'm glad that we are getting input and being able to bring all that together, so appreciate that. The music and arts in school, I'm so glad that Prop 28 money, it's nice to see where that money is going, to see that we are adding music to our schools and really, you know, making sure that we're using that money appropriately. We're not supplanting, we're actually doing something extra than what we had been doing in the past. So I wanted to add those comments to the rest of the trustees. That's it.
Perfect, thank you so much.
I make a motion that we accept our consent calendar.
And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. 5-0. Moving on to section 9, approval of board policy 4119.31, 4219.31, 4319.31, student-employee interaction. I know.
The reason it has 3 numbers is that board policies that are 4100 relate to certificated staff, 4200 relate to classified staff, and 4300 relate to management staff. So this way it ensures this board policy hits all 3 groups of employees that we have here in our school district.
All 3. Awesome. Chad, take it away.
So we have brought this board policy, which relates to student and employee interactions, to the board. It's a very in-depth board policy, and it is above and beyond what's recommended by CSBA. It actually is brought to us by our insurer, ASCIP, and they have an employee and a group that specifically works with child predators, safe boundaries, keeping students safe at school. And they have created this board policy as part of a larger approach to how do we train staff and allow staff to know what boundaries are and ensure that we keep students safe. So that is the work that they've done in this board policy, in not only as part of their committee, but they've also involved experts from throughout the country, in addition to a legal team, to ensure that this board policy protects our students and provides solid guidance and solid footing behind what we do to keep students safe.
Perfect.
Mine isn't coming up. Is yours coming up?
So,
Questions?
well, I had a couple of comments. I had
Comments?
gone back, and so based on this is second read, but I apologize to my fellow board members that I didn't bring up the stuff beforehand, but I had a couple of just comments and some tweaks to it, if you guys would humor me in listening.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
the first thing I brought up was the fact that it's named student dash employee interaction.
Same.
And I figured it should be student and adult interaction. So if that would, and Chad seemed to think that
Totally
was
agree.
okay.
Yes.
So instead of student employee, it's student adult, because we are referring to any adult that a student deals with, not just an employee of the school district.
100% agree. Or I would put adult student because the burden of action is on the adult, just to list it first. But I also had the same comment to change adult.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to comment on, I had asked questions about some of the terms, and Chad clarified a few things for me. When we get into appearance of impropriety, on the second page, I think that talking about just the appearance or the perception of an appearance, right? I think that somebody can have a perception that might not be true, but it's the perception. So I think we should always be cautious of what it looks like, not just what it is, but what does it look like to people. So I thought maybe adding appearances or perceptions of impropriety as opposed to just appearances of. Chad,
Yeah, so we could make those additions, and there's 3 spots where we would do that. Where it says appearances, we would do appearances or perceptions. And then in the first paragraph, in the first sentence, appearance or perception of impropriety. And then in the third sentence of that, or excuse me, second sentence of that first paragraph, we could do the same. So it's not just appearance, but it's perception.
is that okay?
Fellow trustees, what do we think? Yeah, I think we're good with that as well.
And the next page, sorry.
No, you're good.
Under electronic communications, third paragraph, just the last words is we're talking about something is not, platform sites not to pertain to legitimate school business, talking about friending or following. We put is not allowed, I put is prohibited, as opposed to not allowed.
Just a stronger
Just
term,
make it a
yes.
stronger word.
Yes.
I have a suggestion around that too.
Okay. You want to stop there and
That
do
same,
yours?
that same paragraph? Or
Yeah,
that-
I think that there's 2 that really talk about social media contact that I think they are pretty much repetitive. So there's that piece about not inviting or accepting requests from students. And then it repeats again. It says adults shall not follow. I would add invite or accept requests from current students or minor former students. I think the second is more clear and covers all of the same information as the earlier paragraph that's shorter. So I would just eliminate the first paragraph about inviting or accepting requests, and then just add the single word invite to the, it's actually, they're divided by a paragraph in between, but adults shall not follow, invite, or accept requests from current students or minor former students to be friends or connections on personal social networking sites, and shall not create or participate in any networking site for communication with students other than those provided by the district for this purpose. I think that makes it very clear when and how, and eliminates all other possibilities for adults.
So kind of compiling that one paragraph,
Just taking
or
out.
those multiple paragraphs to one paragraph.
Okay, so just so I'm clear then, so the third paragraph that starts with the words inviting or accepting,
Striking.
and then putting that together with,
Well, that would be basically eliminated.
Just strike
be
that whole-
eliminated,
Strike.
right?
Yeah, pretty
But-
much strike that out.
And
Then
then,
what would the final paragraph then, that says adults shall not follow or accept requests?
Follow,
insert the
invite.
word invite.
And invite.
Follow, invite, or accept requests. Yes.
I think that with that decision, there is some behavior change that may need to happen with our staff, because I think it is quite normal in our society for former students who are 16, 17 to have social media accounts, and for teachers to find very appropriately desire to stay in touch or to see how their sports career is happening at the high school. But this is saying we're not doing that till they're 18. So I think again, it's that appearance and propriety. In order to create safeguards, we're saying we don't do that till they're 18. And that has consequences probably for some decisions that individuals will have to make of how they follow this policy.
Okay, we can do that, yes. I would like to ask, can we add the parentheses, in the third paragraph, it says examples, friending or following. Can we add that as an example
Yeah.
in
I
here
think
as
that-
well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better to be clear than to be, especially in reference to what is and is not accepted in
Yeah.
these things.
And friending or following is different than lurking. I don't know.
Yes.
Seeing a public account
Yes.
and not being a follower.
Okay, so we would do that, remove that third paragraph, okay?
Chad, I think this covers this in a safe way, but something like the Ed Foundation is technically nothing to do with the school district. And we have student reps on our board and send them emails frequently, and they send them back. Some of the accounts that we send to are their parents' accounts as opposed to their accounts,
Right.
but sometimes not. Now, the people on the foundation, some of them work for the school district, principals,
Yes.
secretaries. I want them to be protected from having an issue, and I'm not sure how that works in with this.
The best thing is if there are multiple students on the board, to send that to all of those students at the same time, and to also include their parents.
Well, sometimes a student asks a question and they get a single answer back.
Right. And even in that case, just to make sure that the parents included, really the key around all of this is that nothing's ever done in private, and all the communications included so the parents aware of everything that's going along the way.
Thank you.
And that's, I think, covered in kind of that general section about if you're a coach in the community, making sure you're maintaining these standards, even if it has nothing to do with the actual work of the school district. It's that appearance of propriety and ensuring that we're creating safe boundaries for adults and kids, no matter what the circumstances.
Yes.
I'd ask the same thing with people going on, tournaments and field trips when, someone, staff members just texting some group of people to tell them where to meet for a bus or where to meet for something, as long as it's a mass communication and not just a single one for.
But sometimes a kid texts, I'm
Right.
late.
Oh, no, I completely understand.
And it'd be a lot easier to find the one lost student.
Yeah.
If there's a mass text, everyone has to find that
Everyone's
one
looking.
student,
Point.
right?
Yeah.
Everyone, go find so-and-so.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and their friends will most often remind them and be the easiest way to communicate.
Yeah.
And they'll generally listen very quickly to their friends as well.
I add parents onto my emails when when I use student volunteers. I always add the parent. I had one extra point for boundary violations. I wanted to add a number 10. And Chad helped me with the wordsmithing, so I'll just read what he came up with is, and it was going towards, I think that in some cases, some of our staff may or may not privately tutor some of our students. And I think we want to really address that, but it's not something. So I was adding providing private tutoring off-site of the school day and an individual student without the knowledge of an administrator and parent or guardian. So that would be one of the additional boundary violations. So providing private tutoring outside of the school day to an individual student without the knowledge of the administrator and parent or guardian.
I'd put without the knowledge of the parent and guardian
Yeah.
first, because if you're tutoring someone out of the school day and it's the parent and the guardian should, I think that's where it starts, with the parent and guardian, especially if you're getting paid. They should know to pay you.
And then if they miss, so just change the sequence,
Yeah,
without
just
the
as-
knowledge of the parent, guardian, and the administrator?
Yeah, I think it should be both, though. When I talked to ASCIP, they said that both the administrator and the parent and guardian should both have knowledge.
And that's a recommendation from insurance that the administrator be aware.
Be aware as
Okay.
well, correct.
Because I'm thinking, it's off the clock. They don't really, it's one more thing for them to think about, but,
But because the connection was made during the school day,
okay.
the district still has liability.
Got it.
So they want to make sure that we're
Okay.
aware, as the administration's is aware.
And if they
as
have
well.
any concerns, they can bring it at that point.
That's correct,
Yeah,
yes.
that makes sense. That's a good addition, I think, Bev.
And I think in duty to report, it was just, forgot an S, an adult or student who observes or has knowledge. We put absorb, just adding the S to that. And I did have some other questions, but they addressed them. And I think.
So I had a question on that number 10, the one that Bev just brought up. Would that be
Yes.
just for any interaction outside of the school setting?
That would deal specifically with tutoring, so.
Specifically with tutoring?
With tutoring, so we're
Okay.
dealing specifically with some tutoring, because there are other pieces in boundary violations that cover other areas of interaction as well outside of the school day, but this specifically deals with that idea of one-on-one or individual tutoring.
Okay, perfect.
I think that's getting at one of the main additions that I added early on, one of the early phases was this idea of keeping secrets, right? And so whether that's from asking students to keep secrets from their parents or meeting on the side and not telling others, that's the grooming behaviors that we want to make very explicitly clear that this is not allowed,
Already
because it
here.
leads oftentimes to worse behaviors and escalates towards abuse. So, being a coach on a baseball team is not a secretive activity. It's something that we would encourage our staff to do as part of their community contribution. But meeting on the side to tutor for special attention could lead to inappropriate behaviors. And so
That's number
good
8.
to have that clarity.
Number 8.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think that's kind of the principle behind this idea of not breaking that boundary, which can be a first step of many people who have the intention of hurting children.
I think those are my changes.
Should we make a motion?
I had only a couple, because I've already given a lot of comments in the early phases, I only had a couple small, more grammar and editorial input. There's also a place, and this goes to the idea of all adults being included, which Bev mentioned at the very beginning, the paragraph that talks about purpose, and it's about halfway through, it says the policy applies to all district staff, volunteers, and vendors. I would just say hereafter referred to as adults, because then from then on we sort of talk about adults generally. So just that phrase hereafter referred to as, because I think it just says adults in parentheses, and that was, at first I was kind of confused if that was substituting or not. It's just a shorthand way of talking about it. There's an and, I believe, missing in the sentence under general standards. It says adults are expected to acknowledge the inherent power imbalance between children and adults and are expected to use their authority without manipulation in the best interest of children. I believe that was actually my sentence suggestion, and the edited version didn't include an and there. So I'd like to suggest that for grammar
I have that.
change. And I think those are we've covered all of the edits that I would like to see included. I appreciate Bev's additions. The only comment I wanted to bring up too is that this does call all of us into more stringency and clarity about the ways that we use social media and children, and not posting on personal accounts images of social media of children. And I think that is for not because it's a intentionally bad behavior, but I think many of our teachers, staff do have personal accounts. I know I've had personal accounts where I've posted images of me with children at an event, and this is really asking us not to do that. So I think we maybe as a district need to have more clarity on what are official FSD social media accounts that have permission from guardians to post children's images, and which are private accounts. If I'm, Mrs. Hanchett's personal page, and here I am with my kids in the classroom, that we're basically saying that's not allowed. So I think we need to be more clear and instruct our staff in that and why, and if staff want to have official FSD accounts, maybe we can find channels to do that properly, but not have personal side accounts.
And I think that most of this policy did say that. I mean, it was mostly personal accounts.
Yeah.
I mean, we have school accounts, the classrooms have accounts. They can still do what they do normally, but this is someone's personal account.
Yeah.
And like you said, our personal accounts, I mean, those are things that we really need to
Yeah.
look at. And I had asked about the training of our staff on appropriate boundaries, just boundary training in general.
Yes, and we actually have already started that training. ASCIP has actually come out and trained all of our administrators and our leadership on this policy, and what does this policy look like, and what are appropriate boundaries and what are boundary violations. Additionally, then, our leaders, our managers, our principals, our different department leaders will now be going back and training their staff on what do those boundaries violations look like, and all employees will be provided with this board policy. Additionally, all new hires will be required to go through a training as part of their new hire and onboarding process, whereby they learn about boundaries, boundary violations, what's expected and what's appropriate and not appropriate here in Fullerton, and then they will be signing off as a new hire that they have received the training and received this policy and that they understand it.
How long do you think that training is? Like, if you had to do it all at one time, is that like a 2-hour training, a 20-minute training?
Total, the training takes about an hour and 5 minutes. This part of it, because additionally then we
right.
have other
trainings?
trainings, right? Child abuse and neglect reporting, we have other trainings on top of that.
Do we provide that kind of training to the volunteers that go through like our background checks? You know, I know we have our occasional volunteers that come onto campus and help with a party. But then we also have volunteers on campus that are there for a long time and they get their background checks and things like that. Have we
Correct.
thought about doing any kind of training for them?
That's interesting. One of the things that actually I'm working on with ASKIP is how do we provide that as a next tier. So even providing this level of training as a school district is something that is new, that a lot of school districts don't do. So we're really kind of at the front, leading edge on that. But then the next piece is our volunteers, and then how do you provide that training in a way that's meaningful to the volunteers who are in our schools and in multiple languages.
We've done it virtually. I mean, I've done that boundary training with volunteers virtually, and it seems to be successful. And because volunteers have a lot of, they're busy, and so it's really hard to get them in.
Yes.
But even if you did something virtually or even entertain that.
Yes, and we're working with ASKIP on how do we provide that so that it's multi-languages, volunteers can access it, and additionally, it's something that's comprehensible.
Well, because I think people just don't realize that even touching a child on a shoulder can, alert them or trigger them or do
Yes.
something. So I think, bringing that to the attention of everybody is a good thing.
Thank you.
But to be clear, we're starting with our staff. We are going to include all of our partners, like we're going to talk about Encore and ACEs, all of our partners that we contract with to care for our kids.
Correct.
And then volunteers would be another level that we're exploring, but we're not there yet.
That's right. This is
Okay.
really for our employees.
But it includes all of our
partners
and
yes.
after-school programming, summer programming, things like that.
Correct,
Great.
absolutely.
Awesome.
I do want to say this is a heavy topic, but so many of our staff, and teachers and administrators care for, protect, treasure our children. And so, unfortunately, child serving organizations do attract people who have ill intent for kids, but the majority are here and we're working together to protect our kids. So I'm really grateful for this effort. It's not, by focusing on the worst case scenario, I hope we're not skewing the fact that all of our staff are working so hard to do their very best to love our kids and care for them and protect them. But I hope that it also brings attention to the fact that when kids or parents see violations, they're like, something's going on. They know this is not allowed and they can alert and get help too.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Do I have a motion to approve board policy of adult-student interaction?
With changes?
With the changes
With
that
the
we've
changes,
discussed.
Definitely.
Yes,
yeah,
and I have all the changes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we need to do another reading, Chad?
Do you feel?
We wouldn't need to with the board's approval based upon the changes that were listed today if the board agrees. The only reason I would be slightly cautious with that is that we will be training folks and
Yeah.
we would like to get them a
Let's get
copy
it
of
going.
this.
I'm okay with just going with it.
Yeah, I feel good about the clarity we have in that
It's pretty much kinda
small
compiling a
changes
lot of that
and
stuff.
we want to get it going for this school year.
Just second question. I know you mentioned that we're at the forefront, and I really do appreciate that. I think it's really classic FSD to be innovating and thinking ahead. But ASCAPE already is obviously thinking about this, right? So there must be other districts thinking like this, moving in this
There
direction.
are other districts that are working on this as well, but ASKIP represents districts throughout the state. Out of the districts they represent throughout the state, they currently only have 16 districts that have gone to this point. So we actually are their Sweet 16, and they have a program they actually call CARE, C-A-A-R-E, that actually has much more than just this policy. It has training, it has a student component, it has a student protection statement that we'll be adding to all of our applications and all of our recruitment material. So there's a whole variety of things that will be put in place.
Great. Thank you for that. I think the amendments seem great, so I'm ready to vote on it.
Yeah, so did I have a motion?
I so move.
I will motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect, 5-0.
And thanks.
Yes, thank you again so much for doing that, Chad.
Thank you.
Looks like you got the next one as well too, right?
I do.
No worries.
I have item B, which is approve the new committee on assignment recommendations for the 2024-2025 school year. So every year we have, we try to offer the maximum number of electives that we can for students based on student interests, based on student voice and choice, and providing as many electives as we can. At some of our schools and in some of our programs, we have a limited number of staff members. So you'll see on these committee on assignments, especially at our K-8 schools, in our My Connect Academy programs, we don't have a large number of staff members to teach the variety of electives that we would like to. However, we have many staff members who have expertise and a lot of skills in those areas. So through the committee on assignment process, the board is able to approve courses that give students more electives and more items that meet their interests, and allow staff members who don't have whatever the specific credential may be to teach that in order to teach that course as an elective. So this process allows us to move forward with that and make sure that those courses can be offered beginning August 12th when our students return to school.
Do we have to vote on each one of these independently, or
No,
can we
you
do
do
them
not.
all
They can be
together?
voted on as one group.
Thank you. I'm glad to see this increase in opportunity for students. When I was going down it, it made good sense, the things that are being offered. And so certainly makes sense in my academy that we have a complication there that we need to address. And I'd like to move to accept this list of teachers teaching classes without a credential in them.
Can I ask a question just about the course? I was curious because there were multiple schools offering cultural connections. Are they focused specifically on a culture or more of a survey of multiple cultures? Does it align with maybe early learning around ethnic studies, which will be introduced in the next few years at high schools? How are they lining up, and are they similar?
So usually what happens is the school determines what the scope of that is. It can be around a specific language or a specific group, and there usually are language components that are involved as well. So it can be based around Spanish language or Korean language, or it can be more broad. But there are a lot of pieces that are early components of ethnic studies to help prepare students for high school.
I think that's great. I just was curious, as Fissler, Beechwood, My Connect, they're all doing it. Do they collaborate, the teachers, to have some consistency across their curriculum, or is it creative at each school?
They do collaboration, but then they also work with their school. For example, at Beechwood too, we have a grant with the Korean consulate, so they're also able to provide much stronger components related to the Korean culture because we have that grant as well through the Korean consulate.
Okay. And one of the great things about ethnic studies is the ability to tailor it to the needs and interests of, the interests of the community and the history there. So I like that there's some opportunity for student input as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Awesome. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Sounds good. On to the next one. Do you have the next one, Chad? No.
I don't, but I will be back later.
Jason.
Jason. So here we are on Encore and team.
And team.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about.
Posse, his posse. Look at that.
Yes, yes. Right.
You represent really well.
I love
Is this
it.
protection?
I usually need protection. Yeah.
All we did is say nothing but good things about you before, so I don't think you need that. I don't think you need all that back there. Very good.
Good evening, President Talavera, Governing Board, Dr. Pleka, Executive Cabinet, and guests. It is with pride that we share with you tonight the Expanded Learning Opportunities Plan and a brief update of the Encore program. The ELOP guidelines require that each LEA get board approval for the ELOP plan every 3 years. After sharing, we hope that the board will approve our ELOP plan. As a program or anything we run in summer, all work requires a great team. and it cannot be done without a strong team. So the team here, up here today, invests in the sites and the site supervisors to ensure that all support is needed and provided. So our team will share components of the ELOP plan and the Encore plan. Up first is our clerical assistant, Erica Trujillo.
Our program consists of 2 programs, Encore Lab and Encore ACES. We have 10 schools that have our Encore Lab program, and then we have 10 schools that have the ACES program. Encore has an additional site for the upcoming academic year. Beginning 24-25 school year, the Encore Lab program will be at our Parks Junior High. And with this addition, we will now be servicing all of the Fullerton School District 20 campuses. So enrollment is an important component to the ELOP plan. Funding ratios are dependent on enrollment numbers, which does differ from the ACES. That one takes into account daily attendance percentage. Encore serviced 800 students post-pandemic in the 21-22 academic year. Since then, enrollment has significantly increased, and we will now be servicing 2,100 students in this upcoming academic year. Next, we have our Encore program specialist, Vanessa Larios.
Thank you, Erica. In our updated Encore plan, you will see that ELOP programs are encouraged to partner with non-LEA entities. We are pleased to partner with Boys and Girls Club of Fullerton, Higher Ground, and OC United. By doing this, it allows us to service even more students in our district. In addition to the before-mentioned community partners, we also have had an expansion of enrichment opportunities over the last 2 years. You will see in our updated program plan that it is the priority to provide opportunities for students to experience active and engaged learning. We do this through a variety of enrichment opportunities that we provide. All interested partners have the opportunity to partner with our Encore programs through our procurement process in partnership with business services. All community-based organizations and vendor partners follow all Fullerton School District policies and procedures. Open communication and collaboration is essential tools that we rely upon to ensure all partners are aligned to our quality standards. Up next is Maria Wasserman, who's a supervisor of our Encore Expanded Learning Programs.
So in our ELOP plan, we indicate that we provide 30 days of intercession. The Encore program satisfies this requirement by providing summer camp for our students. This year, with the help of over 150 FSD staff, we provided camp, enrichment, and academic supports to over 1,000 students. In our plan, we also are intentional to ensure that we provide services to our participants through equity, access, and inclusion. To support and accommodate the diverse needs of our students, we collaborate with the district student support teams, such as school site administrators, teachers, and counselors, as well as our behavior intervention associates and the students' caregivers. Additionally, to create a safe learning environment for our students, we prepare our Encore teams through trainings that support interventions such as nonviolent crisis interventions, trauma-informed practices, and review professional boundaries. Next is our Encore nurse, Shelley Whalen.
Good evening, everyone. Here we have listed just a few ways that we're working really hard in our after-school programs to keep our students healthy and safe. Monthly emergency drills are conducted to ensure our student safety. Each site has an after-school emergency plan, which lists specific tasks based on each site needs. All Encore staff are certified in CPR, AED, and emergency first aid. Every site is visited periodically to conduct specialized medication training for prescribed medications and specialized first aid training for epilepsy, diabetes, food allergies, and asthma. And ongoing medical updates and new best practices are reviewed with site supervisors at our monthly huddles. And next, we have our program
Wait,
specialist.
before you go on, Shelley, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
In a general sense, do we have children that need, that have seizures, diabetes, and need EpiPens? in a consistent way that we need everyone trained?
Yes, I would love to talk about that. First of all, I
Good.
want to say, not all, I just want to back up just a little bit. Not all districts have paid for training for CPR, AED, first aid training for their staff, and for me, the instructor. I'm a certified instructor, and so I want to say thank you for making that available. And also, the EpiPens, we have a great EpiPen program that we have stock EpiPens that are available to all our guests and students on the campus. So thank you for making that program available. So to answer your question, yes, we do have very complicated, fragile students who have complicated case care plans and case management, and I collaborate with the day nurses to follow up on medications and care plans. So we have a continuity of care from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way until 6 o'clock at nighttime. And I take that information and take that information to our specific sites and do specialized trainings so that care plan does not miss a beat and the child can enjoy our programs in a safe manner so we can keep them healthy and safe so they can return to school the next day. That's a real important part. And also prevention. How do we keep those allergens for our students with anaphylaxis? Or how do we reduce the environment for students that have epilepsy to keep those triggers at bay so the student can enjoy a program and thrive? Hope that answered your question.
That was great. And we do that also during the school year for when they're placed in their classrooms?
Oh, absolutely. So again, the school nurses, I'm part of the school nurse team, and we work very tightly on creating the care plans and keeping those updated with new diagnoses. And sometimes we discover those on campus in real time. We'll have a bee sting and ta-da, we didn't know that you were allergic to a bee sting. And so we'll update the daytime nurses on that. And we have a wonderful feedback loop where I may get some additional information in the evening and discover some new issues in the evening, and I'll feed it back to the day nurses so they can update their care plan and train their staff, and then that pushes forward to ours. So we have this wonderful feedback loop, and that really helps the students stay safe and healthy so they can go back to school healthy the next day.
And I'm sure the parents are also in that loop?
Oh, absolutely. They're an important part of our team. One of the neat things about my side of the program is I actually, if I have a question or need clarification on any parts of that care plan, I will sometimes linger after school, and the parent eventually has to pick up the child, right? So I might just kind of linger around and get that clarification, and then we feed that back to the day staff, and I'm the first one that can update the training for our staff.
Thank you so much. All the good information
Welcome.
comes
Thank
in
you
the parking
for
lot.
all of the training and the that you pay for in the EpiPens.
One more quick question.
Yes.
Do you happen to go to the Padre Foundation's the school nurse forum?
I do.
You do?
I do. And most of our training, actually, all of our specialized training for diabetics and for seizure plan, those all come, we don't pull them out of the sky. They're in alignment with the ADA, American Diabetes Association, the Epilepsy Foundation, and American Asthma Association. So, and we align all of our training with the nurses in daytime, so we have that continuity of care.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you
And
so much.
our next person is our program specialist, Tammy Lejon.
Tough act to follow. Wow. One of our important program elements in our ELOP plan is that of academic support. In the past, we've offered up to an hour of dedicated homework time, including academic assistance with our RTI team when available. It gives our families peace of mind knowing that their children have a dedicated time to work on their schoolwork and get some of their things done. Last school year, we piloted a technology-based intervention program at one of our district's focus schools, Woodcrest. Due to its success, that model will be used throughout our Encore program for sites with high academic need for the coming school year. Our Encore site supervisor, Elizabeth Cerna, worked closely with Principal Wilkins and the RTI team to develop a program to help bridge that academic achievement gap. And here is Elizabeth with a little bit more on that.
Hello. So going ahead and using individual and whole group strategic goal setting, dedicated technology-based interventions such as iReady, online lessons, and reflex math time, and monthly progress monitoring, Encore students at Woodcrest made enormous growth in both ELA and math. The students in Encore showed 134% annual typical growth in math and 142% annual typical growth in ELA.
I heard snaps.
Yay. Would you read that one more time? We want to make sure that gets on our translation.
So the students in Encore show 134% annual typical growth in math and 142% annual typical growth in ELA.
That deserves applause.
And they had fun.
And they did have fun, that's right. Another aspect of our ELOP plan is continuous quality improvement. We survey all educational partners in our program, that includes teachers, principals, students, staff, and parents, about what the program that they are participating in is doing right and what we can improve on. This year, we asked our FSD students a multitude of questions. Two of the questions stood out to us. Did you have fun in our program, and did it help you do better in school? Overall, about 97% of our students are happy in this program. We aim for 100, so we have a little room to grow. They enjoy the programmatic elements like the academic assistance and the enrichment. A majority of our students believe that being in Encore helps them do better in school. It's really misleading. The red is not no. Just, I don't know why.
It's orange.
Yes, the orange is the no, and we're going to fix that.
Yeah.
Our FSD parents were polled, and we found that all of our parents believe that we provide an emotionally safe and supportive environment for their children to thrive in. They have also expressed their satisfaction of their students getting academic support and homework and other core subject areas. Next up is Administrative Specialist Megan Fody.
Alrighty, I'm a little short. So a part of our, thank you, Jason. A part of the Educational Partner Survey, we survey the parents, and they have an opportunity to give us testimonials about the Encore program. A couple of testimonials highlighted from parents state that they are incredibly grateful for our program, and it gives them peace of mind knowing that our staff really care about their students. Parents feel that our staff are supportive and wonderful, and their students, and we're meeting them, we're supporting them with their students' individual needs. Additionally, parents feel like our program is invaluable with the dedication and care from our Encore team.
Yay. That deserves.
Alrighty, and transitioning from our parent testimonials, our teacher testimonials also highlight the Encore program. Overall, teachers have seen increased social emotional skills, increased academic performance, and sustained attention, increased self-control, and self-confidence.
Nice.
Below is a teacher testimonial from Raymond's. It spotlights the increased growth of 2 students in her classroom. Students have exhibited an increase in impulsivity control, an increase in confidence, and an increase in confidence. Our program and staff have created a safe environment for our students to flourish. Up next, our Public Information Officer, Amber Munoz.
Good evening, everyone. It's just my privilege to be standing up here with this amazing group of dedicated, hardworking professionals to just help add an exclamation mark on the impact these Encore programs are having in our community. Since starting here in FSD just a few months ago, I've had the privilege of curating all of the great news stories that have happened with our schools and our school district and our students in this year to date so far. And the Spectrum news clip that you're about to see actually first aired in April, but through a news service that we use called TV Eyes, we're able to capture these news segments and archive them so that we have this constant celebration of all the good news that's happening in our community. Just a couple of quick fun facts. This segment has aired 24 times between April and July of this year, and so that means that it's reached over 170,000 households. And if we were to pay for this airspace, it would have been a hefty price tag of over $21,000. So it's a testament to the important work that we're doing, that the media actually want to come and showcase and highlight the great things that are happening here to show what's possible in public education. So without further ado, let's hear from the inspiring Sophia and our eloquent superintendent, Dr. Bob Pletka, about the Encore.
We are going to be going over the food truck project.
She's learning entrepreneurship at just 11 years old. But Sofia Bravo already knows she'll be pursuing a career in animation. Watching Disney's Encanto was the first time she truly felt seen, and she realized then that she wanted to create similar characters.
Showing that somebody can accept themselves and not care what other people think.
It's a lesson Sophia has already learned at a young age. She's a wealth of wisdom and knowledge, considering she's not even a teenager yet. And she attributes that, at least in part, to the year-round education she's been able to receive growing up in Fullerton schools. This Encore summer camp keeps her mind busy while her parents are at work all day.
If you're putting these together, that's cool.
And it's one of several programs that the superintendent of Fullerton School District, Bob Pletka, says are addressing learning loss, the biggest barrier he says the district has faced.
Kids that maybe suffered inordinately during the pandemic, that they now have access to core instruction in reading, writing, and mathematics. And so this is, a focus of our district is this idea of equity and making sure that kids get what they need.
And it goes well beyond the classroom. Bob says they're teaching students of all ages how to code, invent, perform, and build. He says they take pride in Fullerton's designation as the education community with award-winning elementary and secondary school systems.
And as you can tell, this team here is probably the most passionate group of people, probably the best expanded learning team you'll find across all of California. And we're just very proud to continue the work and look at ways to continue to provide support and love and care for our community. So that's our presentation. Thanks for listening, and if you have any questions.
Questions, comments?
Just not really a question, but I love the participation, right? Just 2-3 years ago, 800 students, and then now we are almost 3 times that amount. Are we looking to, what's the ideal number in the future?
If you want to...
You're asking FSD.
Ideal would be all our students that we need to support are supported. But with a lot of different constraints, we try creative, innovative ways to continue to grow. We have an amazing district team across all our departments that make things happen. So if we could, the answer would be all our students that are needed to be supported by the funding. But it's been amazing to be able to grow exponentially the way we did the last 2 years really. And we'll continue to look. Hopefully funding continues to stay the way they do so we can continue the good work, but we're continuously looking to find ways.
It was a large part of the growth, 1,200 to 2,000, was that our community-based organizations?
They were a huge part, and as well as our classified department, our teams of HR of providing ways to continue to bring on more staff. That's huge. So it's a combination of a lot of things, actually. And so in a good direction, as all things are going in the right way, it continues to grow. So it's been actually a multitude of reasons why it grew that way.
That's great. I think summer school maybe in the past had a negative connotation, but the fact that it's fun, it's huge. Thank you, everybody.
And this group knows how to have fun, so
all right.
we bring that in for the kids.
Great
I
work.
don't know. It's only 96.4%.
We're going to get that 100.
You're right. We got a lot of place to grow there.
A lot of growth. Thank you for bringing everybody in, and thank you for showing up tonight. It's so important and heartwarming to see the faces that go with the work that's done. So thank you.
So appreciate you guys being in July.
Ruthie, anything?
Yeah, I just appreciate, in addition to this report that you've given us, we had the 3-year plan to look through, and I read it in detail, and thinking about some of the goals that we have for the program, I really appreciated, this idea of teaching our students self-regulation and character building and their pillars of character, and having a youth voice, and ensuring quality staff that build connection with kids, and adult mentors, and those relationships are so important. I've seen it on campuses, kids walking around saying hey to their teachers, and just that relationship, that care for kids is so evident. And so I really appreciate that is built into the DNA of this program and what you're doing there. I did want to ask, and I do want to also say, part of that is the programming that you've brought in through our community partners. I love that we have both full-time, FSD staff with all of the values that we bring, as well as these unique partners that have different expertise in Legos and soccer and, trauma-informed responses to kids' needs, and they're bringing their strengths too. So I love that we're bringing in all of these folks that care about our kids. I did want to ask about funding, because with the how many can we handle is where's the money coming from. So I know some of them, the labs are paid for by parent tuition, right? And then the ACEs is state funded. Can you tell us more about the ELAP program? I know you can't predict the future, but do you continue to see that? I guess my fear is always, is that going to run out? What does it look like for the next few years? Can we continue at this pace?
Yeah, just a little clarification. Encore was a 3-year journey up to now, where it was a standalone in the last year an umbrella. So Encore was an acronym of enrichment and core. And so when we put that together, Encore is the ELAP over umbrella, over both the lab and the ACEs. So it's almost like overall coverage, umbrella coverage of both of the existing programs.
ACEs is what I meant, sorry.
Yeah, and our lab is fee-based, but we have a subsidized side that supports the students that are meant to be supported by the funding. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe Dr. Rob has a better view on the crystal ball, but the funding is as is for at least this year, and we're going to continue to maximize the usage and be mindful of how we spend that. We hope it stays the same. There's no ever guarantee on that, but the funding so far has served well to cover all needs that we had so far. Now to add more, we'll continue to see, but with funding that we have and partnerships we have, we've been able to offer a comprehensive program on the both fee-based and the ACES programs that we'll continue to move forward with until we're told otherwise. So again, we don't know, we can't predict and can't say yet what that'll look like, but at least for one more year, we're at where we were supposed to be from the previous years.
Great. And so just to clarify, you said that the fee-based labs also include subsidized opportunities for families that, based on their income?
Based on the need, on what the grant provides for. So certain populations that
unduplicated populations.
Yes, that they are supported. We do offer that.
So that gets at my second question, which is, can you talk about how students are admitted to this program, especially if they're considered unduplicated students or those who attend Title I schools where we have the ACES programs?
Sure. They all, sign up, and there's a big rush to join, and there's a wait list that forms, and then we do a lottery with multiple people in the room to make sure that it's equitable and fair, so that we could enter and have a fair process. So not a first come first serve thing. It's also anybody who wants to have a chance has a chance for it, and then those who are meeting the requirement for, let's say, a fee-based program, we have a separate ability to lottery from there to enter those students in that program, whereas ACES is pretty comprehensive. So it's really, as space opens up as quickly as we can, we'll put in or get in more students. So over the last 2 years, this year especially, I would say the chance of students getting in has increased much at a higher rate, and so we were able to meet the need as students leave, fill, and then lottery, and then our waitlist. Certain sites are still quite long, but in general, a lot of the sites have minimized to where most people that have wanted a chance in the year got it some form or another.
Okay, so if families are listening right now and they're saying, how do I get into this program? Has that wait list and lottery process already happened?
Yeah,
for the
we
school
get
year?
out information in April, and we share when the next sign up time is, and then in the summer we have another opening, and then beginning of school year it will stay open. So it's always ongoing, and there's always constant communication available. The team is very good at responding within 24 hours of anybody questioning or having questions of how to, and then we go from there.
And if there are new families or they find themselves in different circumstances where they need this, they would talk to the office, or how would they get in touch to
They
learn
would
more?
probably get led to how to sign up for the wait list, and then we try to stay in communication. We'll give them information on when it opens and if there's a spot open. There's never, again, a guarantee yet. Again, like when you said pie in the sky would be that there is no wait list. There would be always easy access, but at the current state, it would be they would get directed and guided to how to join the wait list, and then once the spot opens up, we would definitely guide them through the process of how to register.
Okay, thank you.
No, yeah, I remember this being one of the things discussing with a lot of the residents that I was engaging with before I got on the school board. There was no summer program really. It was pretty much soulful. And I know even through the collaborative, we were working and finding ways and means to bring something like this. Again, also in partnership with FSD, but to see, again, Trustee Thakor kind of touched on it a little bit, the growth within the last 3 years just kind of shows you a little bit of the need as well too. So kudos to you all for kind of just taking this within 3 years and kind of making it into this amazing program that kids love and thrive in, because I know my kid participated in it for about a year. But yeah, so thank you, Jason, for that. I believe we need a vote because we need to pass the plan, correct? Yeah. So do I have a motion to approve the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program plan for the 2024-2025 school year?
So
Honored.
moved.
And to the
I'll second it.
2026-27. So we got a motion and a second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. 5-0. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jason, for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it. Yes.
Now you guys can breathe. Wasn't that
Yes.
bad, right? Not
Thank
that
you all.
bad.
Amazing job, everyone presenting.
This next one, just a routine item. It
Item
updates with new directors and managers to be able to sign off on. The latest is Victor, our new food services
Food
director.
Services Director, yeah. Awesome.
Yum.
Awesome. All right, so do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 24//25-01?
I so move.
Second.
And we have a second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Same thing here. This is
We have-
Rob.
Yes, this is similar. A couple board meetings ago, we approved a CalShape. It was kind of a plumbing grant for faucets and toilets and fixtures in the restroom. That was for $1.6 million. This is another state grant of, let's see, it's about $2.3 million. This is for air filtration. And so we are asking the board to approve this grant. I believe we have 2 years to spend the funds.
I think we're going to approve money that comes in for sure.
I move that we adopt or ratify the resolution 24/25-02, authorizing the application and acceptance of the California Healthy Air Plumbing and Efficiency Program CalShape Ventilation Grant.
Thank you, Bev. Do I have a second?
Second.
Awesome. Do I have everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Perfect. All right, so now we have approved board policy 5131.8, the mobile communications devices. So, Jeremy.
All right, so this is the second reading, but also I know there were some comments. We did have a couple of strike-throughs. I sent a new one to you all a couple of days ago with a couple of items we had removed based on a chat with our attorney, but also based on some board concerns. We clarified some language, and then I know some other board members had said, hey, what about this, what about that? And we said, let's go ahead and have the discussion here for us to change anything else, and then we can approve or disapprove, depending on what you guys want to do tonight. So if you all have a copy in front of you, if there's anything you want to add or change, I know a couple things were sent to me, but rather than trying to do that, if you just want to bring up anything you want to do, we can do that right now. We'll type as we go.
Sounds
I can
good.
make some changes, and we can
Who wants to
move
start?
forward.
Fellow trustees?
I got today, CSBA, actually it was yesterday, sends us a daily roundup. And yesterday's was, will the NEA take a position on cell phones in schools? And this is a representative assembly that brings thousands of teacher delegates from across the country together to deliberate on various topics. So this year, one proposed new business item that they voted on directs the NEA to do something for a year. So apparently they put in place ideas, concepts, thoughts, and test it for a year. And I thought that was really interesting. And the union asked the NEA to compile information on best practices for cell phones and then develop strong, unambiguous policies regarding the possession and use of cell phones and smartwatches on campus. And it was like, yes, because we're all on the same page. And one comment that they themselves made was that teachers lack professional development to manage cell phones. So while we are talking about cell phones and our rules and everything, I wanted to put out there that professional development is also an aspect of this, not just for our parents, as we spoke about last time, the need for our parents to understand that they just have to stop texting their children 5 times a day, but also some professional development for staff, if my colleagues agree.
Yeah,
Never a bad thing.
Professional
Yeah.
development, never a bad thing.
Well, I
Any other
definitely
comments?
think we need the buy-in of our teachers and our staff and administrators to make this successful. I really appreciate that FETA gave us comments through the letter today, that they've expressed that they feel supported, listened to, and they are in agreement with this policy moving forward. Because I think we absolutely have to have everybody on board for this to be successful, right? You don't try something out and hope it works unless you're really ready to give it every best possible chance of succeeding. And that's what I hope we can do this school year, is give it every best possible chance to succeed, but learning in the process. I think it's important that we set up a reflection process, whether it's 2 weeks in, 2 months in, 2 years in, how's it going? What are we learning? What's worked? What hasn't? That we can have professional development along the way to see how it works. But I think we have to go full force if we're gonna be successful. We can't dip our toes.
I think that's what the National Teachers Association was discussing, that maybe you put it in and give it all the teeth and strength you can, but check it.
Yeah.
And decide if you want to keep it as is at the end of the year.
Yeah. And one of the pieces of communication that I've realized is important, I want our teachers, I know that our teachers and our principals are going to be the front lines of this. I know they're going to be the ones grabbing the phones and reminding the kids and being the bad guys, but we can be the bad guys too. I've said to principals, have that parent call me, blame me, because I think that we need to set this precedent and standard from the top so that they have the backing and support to do the work, because it is going to be hard in the beginning, but I believe it's possible, and I'm willing to be, the buck stops here.
I also have been telling principals that if parents get mad at you, blame Ruthie.
Yeah, you can do that.
I mean, just
You
to
take
jump
it too,
in,
Beth.
for sure, I mean, putting closure, and I'm assuming, based on the feedback we received from the board, that we'll be moving forward, and I know there still probably are some maybe language tweaks, and you'll decide. But just know, next week, I already have a meeting set up. We will have our junior high principals, our K-8s, and then we have representatives from the elementary as well, starting next week to talk about that. We're bringing in our departments, and that will also be built into our PBIS matrices. We will have some standardized letters that will go out, and so just to say, we will be full force as soon as the board approves it, because you haven't approved it yet. So once you have, we will be moving forward, and know that there will be a whole team to support this. And to everyone's point here, this doesn't happen overnight. This is a major change, and so I just encourage everyone to be patient. We didn't want to get ahead of the board and have meetings about with the whole group before you were till you finalize this. So from here, I would anticipate, as we get the information out and we send letters home, there'll be lots of questions. And just to say, again, this is like any other innovation rollout. It takes time, and PD will be a part of this, and training will be a part of it, and support. So just to say, yes, we are on it and ready to go as soon as the board gives the final approval.
Well, with that, I have a couple of small suggested edits that I'd like to
And
discuss.
that's to Jeremy's second reading, right?
Yes,
Edits?
absolutely.
Okay.
So,
He's listening.
yeah, there was one very, very small piece. I'm sorry, I don't have the actual full document in front of me, so it might be hard to follow.
Can we put it on the screen?
It's in the email. It's pretty short. So after the main section where it explains the exceptions, right? And then it talks about smartphones and other mobile communication devices should not be used in a manner which infringes on the privacy rights of any other person. I would say, including through the recording of audio, video, or photographs of anyone. I would take out the on personal devices because we're talking about any device. So it's including the recording of audio, video, or photographs of anyone without written permission or instruction from staff. And that was because I raised a question with Jeremy. I thought it was confusing when it said written permission. I thought, well, is it the kid's permission? Is it the legal guardian's permission? Whose permission is needed in order to take a photo? Because kids take pictures of each other, record, in the classroom, presenting all the time. So we're not necessarily seeking legal consent from the child or their guardian. We're asking for instruction from the teachers to give the okay to use their tablets in that way. They're never going to be pulling out their personal devices because the teacher's not going to ask them to do that. So I think just clarifying that written permission means instruction from staff in that case. To me, that helped clarify that sentence.
Can you go back to what you were saying?
Yeah, it'd be great if we could open
So
it
are
up.
we taking out written permission?
Um,
Since you're saying that we're not asking for written permission, but we're asking for teachers'
Jeremy
direction?
explained that he thought written permission means the instructions from a teacher. The assignment is videotape your friend at your desk explaining their speech.
Yeah, legally we're covered, but I totally understand the clarity. We actually have added that to the acceptable use policy as well for clarity, which is written permission or teacher assignment. Because, if you're assigned through
Teacher
Google
direction.
Classroom, that's technically written, even though it's digital, that is written permission, because the permission giving entity is the staff member, but adding it in wording is never a bad thing to just add more for clarity.
Okay.
So what, do you want me to
So
put
it's in
up
the
there?
It's there.
Mine, because I've
Paragraph?
been striking.
Yeah.
Smart
Yes.
right there.
Let me
So,
take
yeah,
over. real
right
quick.
after number 4.
Right.
Yeah, and let me see if I captured correctly.
So it says, it went away.
Yeah, I'm gonna take over from mine.
Oh,
I took notes
okay.
based on what you said, so let's see if I've captured this.
Add the change.
What you're looking for. So,
Yeah,
so right here,
in that
smartphones
paragraph.
Or staff assignment.
and other mobile communications shall not be used in any manner which infringes on the privacy rights of any other person, including the recording of audio, video, or taking photographs of anyone on devices without written permission or staff assignment. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To me, that adds clarity for the reader.
Yeah. I like that.
It's my birthday. People are taking my picture. I'm not going to stop and write, you have my permission to take my picture for my birthday.
But if the teacher says it's okay,
Yeah, but
right?
you're out on the
This is,
you're out in nutrition, and everybody gave you a piece of Krispy Kreme.
So do you have your school device outside with you?
so there is a question of if parents don't want the child photographed. I know that at the beginning of the school year, parents give permission for children to be photographed. I don't know how that works inside the classroom if it's not posted or shared anywhere. Teachers know. Yeah, they know, hey, we don't take pictures of these kids. If it's an assignment, can it stay on a tablet, or is it
Yeah,
they literally don't get to do that?
No, there's a couple of things. When a parent requests specifically in writing,
Yeah.
actually at the school office, we have forms they can go fill out.
Mhm.
It's actually a parent's responsibility to inform the child that they have requested that as well. So
Sure.
it's not exactly a teacher's response, because there's some issues that come up with that.
But teachers know when we do a group
teachers
photo
know,
and it's going to
yes.
be on Seesaw, we don't include this kid because their parents don't want them to be
Yes,
included.
they typically
Uh-huh.
take 2 pictures. Here's
Yeah.
whole group, if it's going to stay in the classroom, here's not. And that's when
Mhm.
it's in the classroom, when it's not considered a public event. If you have an event like like back to school night that's open out in the public, that actually doesn't apply then, because pictures can be taken at public events, or like a student of the month kind of celebration, something outdoors. Those are public events, and that doesn't actually apply in that case. We can't stop another parent from taking a picture of a student. That's not
Like a
within our
play or
purview
something like
legal.
that.
Yeah, if it's a public event.
Yeah.
But in this case, Trustee Sugarman, I understand what you're saying. So the reason for policy, and the reason for policy to be somewhat vague, is to create exception. Someone had said, well, what if someone records like a fight to give evidence to the school to say, look, we wouldn't in any way discipline that child. We'd celebrate them for breaking our rule a little bit, because they had, so if that makes sense, that the policy is in place to modify behavior and to allow us to discipline when someone breaks it in a way that is negative, that is disrupting education, that's bad for other students, it's bad for staff. If it's in such a way that's not, then even though it's written here you can be disciplined, we wouldn't discipline in that case if it's something that's like a big group celebration. But honestly, students should learn, and they do through our digital citizenship. It's not like you're supposed to be taking pictures of everybody and posting them online. It's actually really a negative thing, and that's one of the things that's built into our common sense media lessons is asking permission. Who are you online? What is your identity? So in this case, I don't know that we'd be able to make enough exceptions within the language to say if it's a celebration, it's okay, or if it's this, it's okay. But there's always that ability for a site or for a principal to enforce as needed based on if it disrupted education or not.
Maybe as needed we put here, but when teachers get in service, they should know, and principals.
Is your mic on?
Microphone.
There needs to be some discretion as needed, and I don't know where you would put as needed, but.
Would it help if we remove the word written, or is that a legal question? Because there's tacit agreement and permission when who wants to be in a photo, everybody says cheese, is different than I'm sneaking a picture on the side. There's differences of consent. You don't give consent necessarily to be in a group photo, but by being present and smiling and posing, you are implicitly giving consent. So would it help if we remove the word written? I think kids can understand that concept in many ways.
I think adding consent to give an or is probably better than removing written. So it's written permission, consent, or staff assignment. Then you've got multiple ways for that too.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That sounded really good.
I'm always told when I go into a classroom, when parents have said, do not photograph my child. But I go in, at Christmas time with checks for staff, and they let's take a picture of everybody who wants. And they always say who wants to come and take a picture. Is that breaking policy?
Staff is aware of who, I'll be honest, it's about 3 children in the entire district, whereas both parents have filled out that form. So it's not a lot, and they're very aware of it. We have it, not only does the principal tell the child, we actually have a little alert on the student information system of a little camera with a line through it, so they know every time they look up that child exactly which ones shouldn't have a photo. So they're very aware. That's been a big push for us for a long time, which is don't take this child's photograph. And for many different reasons, not in this district, but in a past district, I actually had someone who was in the witness protection program. So there are very good reasons parents have for not wanting their children ever photographed. So, and it doesn't have to be that. I worked with one parent in another district where they had actually escaped an abusive situation. They were in another state, and they didn't want their child being put somewhere because they were afraid they would be found by an abusive spouse. So there are definitely reasons, and we have to respect that. So, so the teachers are very aware when there's someone who can't be photographed, and we always encourage, especially if there's not a real significant reason to have faces, we encourage teachers to shoot over the shoulders of children working on something, because it's the work that matters. But if it's a big celebration and the joy is the story that you're telling, then yes, they know who can and can't. We ask them, don't use last names. If you're posting it somewhere, it's first names only. Even if it's an award, we try not to do last names. So there's definitely training that we do within that. It's part of our new teacher training we're doing next Wednesday for all of our 30 new teachers. We do some tech training with them. That's part of what we do, is some social media aspects and how to shoot pictures.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. Any other
But this is
edits?
specifically for student-owned devices that we're talking about in this policy. I
Yeah,
think these
absolutely.
are very relevant topics,
Right.
and they also relate to our child protection policy, the adult-student interactions policy, but specifically the role of what kids can do with the devices. We want them to have at least consent, you know?
Yeah, and that is, I'll be honest, it's one of the concerns about adding language here.
Yep.
Is that this is a personal device policy.
Yeah.
So when we start going into what they can do with an iPad, that's in the AUP, right? That's the acceptable use policy. So here, if you're saying they can do this with consent, are we suddenly saying they can use their phones? So now I think we're covered because just above we have the only way that they can use their phones is 1 through 4.
Mhm.
But if a teacher has said, I need you to use your phones for whatever reason, then this now kicks in that they could take a picture with consent. So we just got to be a little careful that there's a line between personal devices and our district devices.
And your last paragraph about we are not responsible and we will not reimburse, that's legal?
Yeah, they're not supposed to be out or on campus or anything being done with them. Obviously, if we were negligent, we would reimburse because, again, the policy is the general. If it turns out that someone took the phone, took it home, left it in their convertible with the top down, and it was stolen, we're reimbursing because it was that was negligent. That was not what they were supposed to do because they're supposed to take it, they're supposed to put it in their desk, they're then supposed to turn it into the admin within by the end of the day. So if our policy is followed, there's not a reimbursement piece. If someone was negligent, then almost any policy we have, if there's negligence or abuse, then it's sort of moot anyway.
Do you think we need to write?
No.
Make any reference to due diligence of the?
No.
We're doing our best and, okay.
I like it succinct. I like the policy that it's short.
I'd like to go up to the paragraph that starts when a student uses a mobile communication device in an unauthorized manner. There is the idea of returning it, and it says currently you shall store the device securely until it's returned to the student or turned over to the principal or designee. I would add in their guardian, because that is typical for consequences, is to turn it into parents, not children. So I would say until it's returned to the student, their guardian, or turned over to the principal or designee.
The student, put it right after the student.
Yeah.
Return to the
To the
student
left.
or guardian.
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, we could add or turned over to the principal or law enforcement as appropriate.
Yeah.
Because that happens as well.
Yeah.
Related to that, the next paragraph about a student may also be subject to discipline in accordance with law, board policy. I would add the phrase at the very end of that sentence where it talks about district property to substantially disrupt school activities. I would say or otherwise violate the law, because this paragraph primarily focuses on safety issues, but we know that cell phones are oftentimes the places where other crimes are committed, whether that's creation of child abuse material, AI materials that are inappropriate. So I would say just making a more general statement, so it's not just about threats to safety, but any form of violating the law.
So here, disrupt school activities or violates the law.
Top of the second page.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then we added this as well. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes.
So that's that one, that's this one.
Anything? We can give you. Let us wrap up, and then we'll have like public comments. Yeah, we can have you.
Do we have public comment for this?
For you
As
all.
topic? We have public comment? Yeah,
That's
great.
Well, I think you walked in after. Yeah, yeah, we can do that after that, even though
I
we
think-
have. But if you can fill out a slip in the back, I think you walked in right after we shared that specifically. Maybe I should have clarified, but yeah. So yeah, any other suggestions?
Those are all my suggestions for the policy itself. I'm excited for implementation, and I want to encourage our students to be involved in the process. I think it'd be great to have, especially the older students, crafting the rollout campaign of what that looks like and how young people talk to other young people about why we're doing this. And I think that getting their feedback will be a really important piece of that. I'd also love to see this show up in questions when we do our digital wellness survey. As I know, we started it last year and we're going to continue asking questions. I'd love to build in some around, I'd love to see if we're reducing anxiety of our students by not having the FOMO of checking their phones all day long. Does it make a difference in their mental health and well-being? Are they less distracted at school? I'd love to have that be part of our digital wellness conversation as we move forward this year as a way of assessing the impact of this new policy.
And I think this is groundswell. I mean, this is something that's coming up everywhere you look right now, and so I think that doing this is very timely.
Absolutely.
I do believe that people, for the most part, are going to be, parents can blame us, right? I think it comes back again to parents needing someone else to blame too, because it makes them easier. So, yeah. So I think it's a good idea.
Being a parent's tough.
Any other
It's
comments,
tough.
questions? And then we're going to take the one public comment from Nikki. You got 3 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and we'll vote on this. She took her time out. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I just had a note on the letter real quick. So at the end in the bold, it said not liable if it's lost or stolen. I would add or damaged. A lot of schools are getting legal action by parents if there's a crack on the phone. If the teacher had grabbed it, now it's cracked. The student says it wasn't cracked. So just I would add damaged there.
Lost, stolen, or damaged?
Yeah, just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Great idea.
That's not part of your 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your
You're
input.
done.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Nikki Reesberg. I have 2 kids at Acacia Elementary, soon to be 3. I also work as a professional digital safety advocate. I educate parents. I work on online safety legislation on the state and federal level. Kids Online Safety Act just passed the Senate today, so we should all be excited about that. Through my work, I've engaged with thousands of parents and personally interviewed several dozen teachers and school administrators about screens at school. The goal of these conversations was to find out if screens at school are helping or harming our students and to find the right balance. There's a lot to be explored today, or not today, but later on, about our current use of school-issued devices. But I'm here today to fully support the removal of phone access from our kids during the school day, a policy which has been echoed by every teacher and administrator that I have interviewed. I'm about to throw a few stats at you. I can follow up with sources. So Common Sense Media reports that 97% of kids use phones during school, an average of 43 minutes a day. They're always on social media or YouTube or gaming primarily, and they get over 230 notifications every single day. Teachers cannot compete with the addictive supercomputer in our children's pocket, and given the choice, is our child going to keep their eyes up and listen to a lesson, or are they going to respond to endless notifications vibrating in their pockets from apps that are built to be addictive to children? A recent study proved that the mere presence of one's smartphone reduces available cognitive capacity. Teens and preteens everywhere are struggling with social media addiction that starts and ends with access to the smartphone. Teens spend nearly 5 hours a day on social media apps, and the U.S. Surgeon General put out an advisory last year stating very clearly that 3 or more hours a day on social media doubles the risk of poor mental health, including depression and anxiety. And a Science Direct study found that each additional hour of screen time directly increases the odds of suicidal behaviors, and the CDC reported that 10% of high school students made a suicide attempt within the last year. Removing our children's access to social media through their smartphones entirely during the school day will improve mental health outcomes, creating happier children and children who are unburdened and ready to learn. When kids have smartphones at school, it's not only social media access that's the problem, they don't have the opportunity to be bored. A neuroscientist I recently interviewed shared with me that boredom is the fertilizer for creativity. Forcing our students to sit in boredom, use their imaginations, talk to fellow students, all help establish important brain connectivity and soft skills that they will use their entire lifetime. In fact, without access to phones, kids absorb more of their lessons. A recent study showed
that students not using their phones during class wrote down 62% more information. Kids with smartphones at school use them to cheat. We know this. 35% of teens admit to using their cell phone to cheat during school. Kids are using smartphones to cyberbully both students and teachers. That's been in the news lately about a middle school in Pennsylvania creating fake TikTok accounts, posting obscene things as their teachers. Let me skip to the back.
Information. I think we should give her time.
She's our only
Okay.
public commenter. You can take the time.
Thank you, Ruthie. Bullying these days is quiet, it's anonymous, it's happening on social media during the school day and causes extreme distress among everyone. Schools that enacted smartphone bans have experienced a 45% reduction in bullying. And when kids are allowed smartphones at school, they're accessing inappropriate content like pornography. 1/3 of all teens report that they have been exposed to pornography during the school day at school. For these reasons and many more, I encourage the Fullerton School District School Board to implement a complete bell-to-bell phone ban at all schools in the district. This will result in less distractions, less cyberbullying, fewer fights and drama, increased engagement, improved academic outcomes, less cheating, less stress, and improved teacher morale and retention. Teachers are tired of being the phone police, and we can't leave it up to them to enforce. And this is where I'm going to push for maybe an expanded policy, maybe not today, but in the future. Schools are most successful when they lock up phones in pouches or containers that are inaccessible from bell to bell, but can still be kept physically on the student. One company that makes these is called Yonder. They offer resources to schools and implementation support. Other schools are using phone lockers located in the main office, which can be monitored by staff. Consequences, if the phone is found on a student's person, needs to be strict in order for the policy to be effective. In addition to phones, we must include AirPods, earbuds, and smartwatches with our medical exceptions. A bell-to-bell phone-free policy provides students with 7 to 8 hours each day to be fully present and free from pressures and harms of phones and social media, and it's a true investment into the health of our children. I'm aware that pushback on phone policies is often coming from parents who want to get a hold of their children during the school day. Those schools who have implemented this policy have reported that parents and students are overwhelmingly supportive, especially when communication of the benefits is clear throughout the entire process. So as a parent, I want to be involved or assist in some way in communication with parents to make sure that they are buying in. This will only be successful if parents, teachers, and administrators all come together to support a policy that best prepares these children to lead happy, successful, and productive lives. I'm almost done. And for that, we need to remove phones, give them the opportunity to focus on their studies, on connecting with peers, and on connecting with themselves. So thank you for prioritizing this important conversation.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. So with that, do I have a motion to approve board policy 5131.8?
Did the board want, hold on, wait. Did the board want to add the damages?
Yes.
I saw lots of head
Yes.
nodding, but I want to make sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
I thought we
Good
did that
suggestion.
because that
Okay.
wasn't part of our 3 minutes. but
Okay,
yeah.
no, I just want to make sure
Mhm.
we're in agreement. Okay.
Well, I'll motion to approve this new policy.
I'll second that one.
As
Awesome.
amended.
As amended.
As- yeah.
As we
amended
discussed
today.
and amended.
Perfect. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then we have a first reading on item G.
Can I just say something about the policy?
Yes.
Now that we've
Yeah, feel free.
approved it, can I ask that that information be conveyed immediately to FESMA, FETA, and CSEA so that they are respectfully kept in the loop from day one?
Yeah, just also a nice shout out to Darlene and Tanya. And they're coming, in Darlene's case, also on her time off, and Tanya to be there at our meeting next week. And so as we pull people together and start to communicate and create channels of communication and processes, they're a part of it. And again, a big thank you to both of them for being there.
Thank you. But important for FESMA too, to be notified right at the start.
Awesome. So we have this first reading.
No, don't we still have the, oh.
No,
sorry.
it's-
But it's approval too, right?
Independent
Don't we have to
study.
approve
It's
it?
a little bit of a
done that.
different process for us. It's a first read and an approval, which is outside of our normal process. But the reason we're bringing this for a first read and an approval is there's been changes to the independent study requirements at the signing of the bill, the governor's budget, that changed the way that we function in our independent study program so that we can take advantage of these changes, which are in our advantage and allow us to recuperate more ADA. We're asking the board to approve these changes, do a first read and approval of these changes tonight.
Just to add, this is in alignment with the new laws.
New laws from the state.
And it's really nice that they reduced it down to a student can be on independent study if it's only one day.
Yes.
That is going to make our
There are also
person
a
in
few other
charge of
just-
independent study nuts, but it's great.
But its few other advantages are now long-term is considered up to 15 days. It now kicks in at 16 days, which allows us to have a little more flexibility in the follow-up requirements. And then also we have more time to get those agreements signed. So,
I didn't do it.
not me either, sorry. But we do have a full year to get those items signed. So,
Oh, yeah, right.
That's nice.
So then you do need us to approve.
Yeah.
yes, if the
I'm
board,
excited to move to improve this because I think it's going to make our policy much more friendly to families and to everybody. And a longer time to turn in the work is also helpful for the students.
It's astonishing how we can have it like trailer bill language actually work for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially to collect more of that ADA, as you mentioned.
Because they're
absolutely,
so
and we can
guilty.
start day one of the school year with approval.
So, do I have a motion?
I move to approve revised board policy 6158 independent study with the new changes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Awesome. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Last one. Here we go. Chad, is this yours?
Yes, it is. This is a first read on board policy 4120 related to our on-call day-to-day substitute personnel. There's been changes to state laws regarding the way we use substitute personnel. This is specifically in regards to a change to the law in the way that sick time is accrued for substitute employees. So we provide every year, we provide all of our substitute employees with a substitute employee handbook, and we make sure that they get all of the applicable rules and policies that apply to them. In our review, we needed to update this so that the board policy matches the state law in regards to accrual of sick time.
I just had one question. I saw that it was struck out, the content about 30 consecutive days for general education, 20 for special ed, as being the maximum that we could have a teacher in a single classroom. And I know that that was extended last year and the previous year to 60 days. Is there clarity now? Has it changed? Why was it?
It has not been extended, but however, because it had jumped back and forth.
We're just eliminating
they were
it?
asking, yeah, the recommendation is to eliminate it and then
Okay.
allow year by year that to be determined.
So it's not in our
based on the-
policy?
Correct.
At this point, is it 30 days for this school year? Or is it?
It's back to the 30 days for a general
Paid
education
sick
classroom
leave.
and 20 days for special education. But that, again,
Could change?
next time we meet, that could be changed.
And I remember it wasn't at the beginning of the school year, and we needed it, and we called our senator, and it changed.
And there still is a shortage of substitutes across the state, so we may have another change by the time. That's the reason that it was actually recommended that
That
we
makes sense
remove
to
from
have
the
it
policy.
strict from the policy.
All right, and we will be bringing this back. If the board has any suggestions or comments, any changes, they can let us know, and we'll bring this back to the board for a second reading and approval at our next meeting.
But many of the things that are in here are dictated by what we need to do, correct?
Yes, actually, they're all determined by law and by education code.
Ed code. Awesome.
I just think we appreciate our subs. They play
we
a
do.
vital role.
Vital role in our system, yes.
Perfect. So are there any future items that trustees want to bring up?
I just wanted, in light of our new cell phone policy, to suggest that we do have a follow-up administrative report on the process of rollout. I think rather than just a communique where we would find out, I'd like it to be a public conversation where there's a presentation, there's room for public comment, we could hear from teachers, parents, students, how is it going? I think that that would be helpful in maybe 2-3 months' time to hear how it's going. And just like we talked about at our FSD conference, fail fast, correct, and innovate to get better.
Yeah, the invite is still, I think you already said yes, both of you, didn't you? We have our superintendent's advisory committee, and so that group, this will be their very first topic. So.
Great.
And I think I already had both of you say yes, you were going to join us.
Oh, I'll be there if I can, yes.
Awesome. All right, with that, so our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, August 20th. So now meeting's adjourned at 8:15.